The first time my twin brother Liam locked me in a closet for hours, I was 8 years old and wearing a party dress. I missed the entire school talent show because of him. My parents laughed when I told them what happened. "He's just protective," they said. "He probably didn't want you to embarrass yourself on stage." That was the moment I realized two things. One, Liam could do anything and get away with it. And two, I was utterly alone in my own family. My name is Riley, and I'm 26 now. But growing up with Liam never felt like I was growing with him. It felt like I was orbiting a sun that everyone else worshipped, no matter how badly it burned me. We were born minutes apart, me first, by 7 minutes. And yet, from the very beginning, it was like those 7 minutes gave me a lifetime sentence of being second best. Liam was charming. He had this disarming smile and knew exactly when to use it. He was quick-witted, athletic, and always said the right things in front of adults. My parents, especially my mom, treated him like he was the crown jewel of our family. When he won a soccer match, we'd have cake. When I aced a math test, they barely looked up from their phones. But what no one saw, what no one wanted to see, was how Liam treated me when no one was around. He wasn't violent, at least not in the way you'd expect. He was precise, calculated, like when he'd accidentally erase my homework from the family computer or tell my friends I said nasty things behind their backs. I'd confront him, and he'd smile and say, "You're being sensitive, Riley. Why are you always making me the villain?" Every time I brought up how he treated me, my parents told me I was imagining things. Twins fight. It's normal. No, it wasn't. Normal wasn't Liam convincing our 5th grade teacher that I had cheated on a group project just so he could get sole credit and praise. Normal wasn't him copying my diary and slipping pages of it into other girls' lockers so they'd laugh at my crushes. Normal wasn't the way he really stared at me when I got dressed for school dances, like he was deciding if I deserved to go. But to my parents, everything he did came with an excuse. "He's just looking out for you. He's trying to make you stronger. He loves you. You know that, right?" I stopped trying to correct them after a while. What was the point? I think part of them wanted me to just be like Liam, louder, more charming, less me. They couldn't understand why I was always anxious, or why I'd stay home instead of go out. But how could I explain that Liam made the outside world feel safer than our own home? There was one moment I'll never forget. We were 16, and I got asked to prom by a guy I'd had a crush on for months, Jared. He was sweet and kind, and for once, I felt like maybe things were turning around. Liam cornered me in the hallway that night. He was dead silent at first, staring at me like he was trying to read my mind. Then he said, "If you go with him, I'll make sure he never talks to you again. Trust me, Riley, he's not who you think he is." I was terrified, not of Jared, but of what Liam might do. I told Jared I was sick and didn't go. He never asked me out again. Guess who showed up at prom with Jared's ex? Liam, smiling like he always does, wearing the same smirk he wore when he told my parents I had anger issues and needed therapy. By the time we hit adulthood, Liam had crafted a perfect image of himself, and my parents still bought it, every single time. But the cracks were already showing. They just didn't see it yet. I used to think Liam was just a controlling jerk. But the older we got, the more I realized controlling wasn't even close. He didn't just want to watch my life. He wanted to own it. It started subtly, almost innocently. When we were 15, I mentioned to my mom that I had a crush on Jared. Quiet, sweet, the kind of boy who actually listened when you talked. Within a week, Jared started acting distant, ghosted my texts, avoided eye contact in class. I found out later Liam had approached him, told him I was too emotional, clingy, and not ready for anything serious. Said it as a concerned brother, just looking out for me. But he wasn't looking out for me. He was isolating me. Still, I brushed it off. Brothers were annoying. That was normal, right? I told myself he was just being protective, even when he started showing up at places I never invited him to. Even when I joined a small after-school art club, and within days, Liam had inserted himself right into it. I never told him I joined. He just appeared, smiling like it was a coincidence, like he just happened to be interested in watercolors now. And everyone loved him. He had that polished charm, the kind that made teachers gush and girls laugh too loud. But when no one was watching, that charm turned to ice. One evening, I stayed late at the art room to finish a piece I was working on. Just me and my headphones. I didn't hear him come in. He stood behind me, too close, his breath brushing my neck as he leaned over and said, "You draw him the same way you look at him." I jumped, turning to see him staring at the sketch I was doing. Jared, again. His jaw twitched. You know, he doesn't deserve you, he added. None of them do. That night, I couldn't sleep. Not because of what he said, but how he said it. Like it hurt him. Like I had cheated on him. From there, things spiraled. I got close to a girl named Naomi. We bonded over books and indie music. And for a while, I thought I finally had someone who existed outside Liam's reach. Until I didn't. Naomi stopped texting me overnight. When I confronted her at school, she looked genuinely hurt. Your brother said you told him I was just your charity case? That I wasn't smart enough to hang out with you? I felt the blood drain from my face. I never said that, I whispered. I would never say that. Naomi just shook her head. Why would he lie about something like that? Why indeed? I asked Liam that same night. He smiled, slow and lazy, as if the accusation amused him. She wasn't good for you. I just said what you were too scared to. When I pushed him, when I told him to stay out of my life, his smile dropped. Just for a second. And in its place was something I couldn't quite name. But it made my stomach twist. Possession. That's the word I didn't have at the time. He didn't want me to be happy. Not unless that happiness came from him. The worst moment came a few weeks later. I was asleep, headphones in, door locked. Or so I thought. I woke up to see Liam standing in my room. My heart nearly stopped. He was holding a framed photo of me and Jared from months ago, back when we'd still talked, still laughed. He ran his fingers over the glass like it meant something to him. You looked so happy here, he said softly. I couldn't move. He turned to me, eyes wide, pupils dilated. Do you think he ever really knew you? I do. I know every version of you, and I still love them all. My throat went dry. Liam, get out. He didn't. Not right away. He walked to my bookshelf, pulled out the diary I thought I'd hidden, and flipped it open. You've been writing about me. My blood ran cold. He was right. I had. Out of fear, out of confusion, I'd been journaling everything. His manipulation, the way he stared at me too long, the way he always knew things no one ever told him. I snatched it from his hands, heart pounding. Get out. He did, but not before saying, if you don't want me in your head, Riley, maybe stop inviting me in. The next morning, the photo was gone. My diary had a few pages ripped out. And my lock? Broken. I didn't tell my parents. What would be the point? They'd just say, he's your brother, he loves you. They had no idea how true, and how wrong, that was. When I met Kai, everything changed. He was smart, effortlessly kind, the type of guy who remembered my coffee order and actually asked me how my day was going, and listened to the answer. For the first time in years, I felt seen. Safe. Of course, Liam couldn't have that. Kai and I met during an art exhibit downtown. We spent the whole night talking. No forced charm, no games, just connection. I was so giddy that I told Naomi about him. And of course, somehow, it got back to Liam. It always did. It wasn't even 2 weeks before he found a way to insert himself. It started with a coincidental run-in. Kai and I were grabbing coffee near campus when Liam appeared, all smiles and casual swagger, like fate had dropped him there. Oh, hey, you're Riley's new friend? I hadn't even introduced them yet. Kai extended a hand, polite as ever. Liam stared at it for a second too long before shaking it. I'm her brother. You know, the one who fixes everything when she screws up. I laughed it off, nervously. Liam never looked away from Kai. His gaze lingered just a beat too long, like he was memorizing something to destroy later. The next day, Liam texted me. You should be careful with Kai. I heard things. I didn't respond. 2 days later, Kai pulled away from a kiss. Something was off in his eyes. Hey, did I do something to upset your family? I blinked. No. Why? He hesitated. Your brother cornered me outside the library, said I needed to be honest with you before it was too late. I felt the color drain from my face. What did he say? Kai winced. That I have a history with girls, that I get bored and cheat. He even showed me screenshots, messages, from some girl I dated in my first year. I couldn't breathe. They weren't real, were they? Kai shrugged helplessly. I don't know. I swear they were taken out of context, if they were even real at all. That night, I confronted Liam. What the hell is wrong with you? He didn't even flinch. I'm protecting you. From what? Someone who actually cares about me? His expression shifted, just slightly, Possessive. Cold. He doesn't know you. Not like I do. My skin crawled. You're not my boyfriend, Liam. His face twitched. Just a flicker. But I caught it. And then came the soft, deadly voice. You think I want to date you? He laughed, but it didn't reach his eyes. You're my sister. But you throw yourself at guys like they're the only ones who'll ever love you. Maybe I'm the only one who actually does. He left before I could respond. I thought that was the end of it. It wasn't. 3 days later, a photo of me and Kai, kissing in the library stairwell, was anonymously posted on a student forum. The caption? Guess she's not as innocent as she looks. The photo was cropped cruelly, made it look like we were sneaking around, hiding something. Gossip exploded. People I barely knew whispered when I walked past. A professor I respected even asked if everything was okay at home. Kai was livid. I don't care what people say, but someone's trying to destroy you. This isn't normal, Riley. But I already knew who it was. That night, I locked my bedroom, closed the blinds, and cried for hours. I felt trapped in a house with someone who studied my every move like it was his to control. The next day, Liam tried to act like nothing had happened, cheerful, toasting waffles like we were kids again. I couldn't hold it in anymore. Did it make you feel powerful, shaming me in front of the whole school? He paused mid-bite, didn't look up. I didn't post anything. You always make sure your fingerprints aren't on it. He finally met my eyes. Calm, too calm. If people are calling you a slut, maybe you should ask yourself why. I slapped him. Hard, and I don't regret it. His expression didn't even change. He just smirked and said, "That's the real you, the one no one else sees, the one I protect them from." I didn't sleep that night. Kai broke things off a week later. Not because he didn't care, but because he was scared. He said, I feel like I'm in some twisted psych thriller, like he's watching everything, like he's not just obsessed with you, he hates anyone who gets close. And that was the worst part. Liam wasn't just sabotaging my relationships. He was trying to be the only one in my world. I knew Liam was obsessed, but I didn't realize how dangerous that obsession had become until the night I found the camera in my bedroom. It was hidden inside a hollowed-out book on my shelf. I had picked it up randomly while cleaning, and it felt heavier than it should have. When I opened the cover and saw the blinking red light inside, my blood turned to ice. I didn't scream. I didn't cry. I just sat there, holding that book like it had personally betrayed me. Because in a way, it had. I hadn't been safe in my own room for who knows how long. I remembered every outfit change, every private phone call, every moment of vulnerability. He'd been watching me. I took photos of the device, removed the SD card. Then I put it back exactly as I'd found it. I needed proof, something undeniable. Because no matter how twisted Liam got, my parents always found a way to excuse it. Oh, he's just protective. He's had a hard time fitting in. Family always looks out for each other. But this was criminal. I copied the SD card contents to my laptop and opened the first file. It was me, sleeping. Another showed me changing shirts. Another, me crying after Kai dumped me. Dozens of files, days, weeks of footage, all labeled by date, all taken without my knowledge. I wanted to throw up. That night, I didn't sleep. I waited until dawn and then confronted my parents in the kitchen. I said nothing at first, just placed my laptop in front of them and hit play. The silence was deafening. My mom's mouth fell open. My dad's face drained of color. The clip played, me talking to myself after a long day, venting about school, completely alone. Or so I'd thought. When the screen went black, my mom whispered, Where's this from? I stared straight at them. My bedroom, from a camera Liam planted. Dad shifted uneasily. Riley, you're imagining things. Liam would never do something so invasive. Mom shook her head. Maybe it's some prank or a misunderstanding. You know how Liam gets jealous. He probably just wanted to check on you because he cares. Cares? I snapped. You call spying on me caring? Sabotaging my friendships? Stalking my boyfriend? Trying to frame me for theft? That's caring? They looked away, refusing to meet my eyes. Dad finally said, Families have their struggles. Sometimes siblings fight. You both need to work this out. I swallowed the lump in my throat. You're choosing to ignore this, to protect him instead of me. Mom's voice was tight. We raised him with love. You don't understand his pressures. He's been controlling my life for years, and you've let it happen. They exchanged looks, and Mom said, maybe if you weren't so distant, he wouldn't feel the need to act out. I laughed bitterly. So now I'm the problem? Dad sighed. Riley, we just want what's best for the family. You need to be patient. Patience. For what? More lies? More fear? The weight of their denial crushed me. I stood up. If this is your idea of family, I don't belong here anymore. They tried to stop me, pleaded, but I was done begging for help from people who refused to see the truth. That morning, I packed a bag. I left the house I grew up in, the one filled with secrets and silent betrayals. So, I did something I should have done years ago. I applied for a transfer. Different city, different school, different life. And I got in. Packing my things felt surreal, like I was preparing for a jailbreak more than a fresh start. My mom cried again when I told her, but we just got you back. I smiled softly. I never left. You just never really saw me. They helped me move, said they were proud, promised they'd keep working on themselves. Maybe they meant it. Maybe not. But I was done holding their guilt. My new apartment was tiny and kind of ugly, but it was mine. For the first time in years, I slept through the night. No cameras, no strange creaks, no Liam. Just silence. Beautiful, boring silence. I still check my inbox every now and then. His emails come less frequently now. The last one just said, "You think you're better than me, but you're not. You're just alone." And he was half right. I was alone. But I was also free. I never thought I'd be able to trust someone again. But then came Ethan. He wasn't flashy or loud. He didn't try to fix me. He just saw me. The first time we met, I was reading alone at a park cafe, hoping to stay invisible. He asked if he could share the table and didn't flinch when I said no. He just smiled and said, "Okay, I'll sit nearby, in case you change your mind." I didn't say a word that day, but 2 weeks later, we had our first real conversation. A month later, I laughed in front of someone for the first time in what felt like years. 2 years later, he proposed on the beach, quietly, no crowd, just us and the sunset. I said yes. The wedding was small, intimate. My new life, my new friends. No mention of my family, and definitely no mention of Liam. I hadn't heard from him in over a year. He was under a no-contact order, and as far as I knew, he'd moved to another state for treatment. I didn't Google him. I didn't want to know. But trauma has a way of whispering even when everything feels right. The week before the wedding, I found a note tucked into my mailbox. No return address, just one sentence. "You think you get to move on without me?" I stared at it for hours. Then I burned it. I didn't tell Ethan. I didn't want to taint this life I was finally building. I told myself it was a prank, someone being cruel, not him. But deep down, I knew. He wasn't done. The wedding day arrived, warm and glowing. My dress was perfect. Ethan's eyes were full of nothing but love. Everything felt like something out of a movie. Until halfway through the reception, just after our first dance, when I noticed the photographer arguing with someone near the catering area. My stomach dropped. He turned. Liam, wearing a suit, holding a wedding gift, smiling like this was his day too. I didn't even move. My body went cold, like my soul was watching from outside me. He walked toward me, gift in hand, and said loudly, too loudly, "Congratulations, Riley. You're finally getting what you think you deserve." Ethan rushed to my side. "Who is this?" I couldn't speak. Liam's eyes locked on Ethan. "You know she lies, right? You know about her past? Or did she keep all that quiet?" My guests froze. The music stopped. Someone whispered, "Is that her brother?" Ethan took a step forward. "You need to leave." But Liam wasn't finished. He dropped the box at my feet. It cracked open, and inside was a burnt copy of my childhood diary, half-melted candles, and a photo of us as kids with a line scrawled in marker. "You broke our bond. I'm just returning the favor." I wanted to scream, cry, collapse, but I didn't. I picked up the photo, looked Liam in the eyes, and said, You will never ruin another moment of my life. Then I turned to the guests. This is my brother, I said, voice shaking but clear. He wasn't invited because he's dangerous, because he hurt me for years, and because he is no longer part of my life. People gasped. Liam's smile faltered. For the first time in forever, he looked stunned. Security escorted him out while he mumbled something about family loyalty and unfinished conversations. One guest recorded the whole thing. Another whispered, Jesus, she's been through hell. I went back inside. Ethan wrapped his arms around me, kissed my forehead, and said, he doesn't get to have power here. And just like that, we resumed the celebration. Not because everything was fine, but because he didn't win. Not this time. The morning after the wedding, I woke up feeling almost normal. Like maybe, just maybe, this nightmare had finally slipped away. But then my phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. You looked beautiful last night, almost like you belonged to me. My heart stopped. Ethan was still asleep next to me. I wanted to scream, to run, to call the police, but I swallowed the panic and showed Ethan. He was furious. I'm calling this in. I shook my head. No, I want to handle this. Because I knew Liam wasn't done playing games. Over the next 2 weeks, the harassment escalated. A doll, dressed like me, left on my doorstep. Its eyes scratched out with black marker. A dead bouquet of lilies on my car windshield. The petals wilted and brown. Anonymous phone calls. Silent but heavy breaths. And worst of all, messages hidden inside my wedding cards. You can run, but you can't hide. You owe me. Each time, I felt that icy dread sliding down my spine. Ethan wanted me to move again, farther away, change my number, get a panic room. But I refused. I was tired of running. One night, I was home alone. Ethan was out of town visiting family. When I heard the sound of glass breaking downstairs, I froze. Then, slow footsteps. My breath caught as the door creaked open. I grabbed the baseball bat by the door, heart pounding so loud I thought it would burst. Riley, came a whisper from the shadows. I swung the bat without thinking. A body fell. Liam. Bruised, battered, barely conscious. He looked up, eyes wild but calm. Why won't you listen? We belong together, he rasped. Tears blurred my vision. You're sick. No, he said softly. I'm the only one who ever really saw you. I called 911. In the hospital, I sat by his bed, watching the broken man who'd haunted me for so long. The police arrived with a warrant for his arrest. They found more than I expected. Cameras hidden outside my apartment, recordings of my conversations, even a journal filled with disturbing fantasies about controlling me. But there was a note from Liam, written in shaky handwriting. I didn't want to hurt you. I just wanted to be your everything. I felt a strange mix of pity and rage. Ethan held my hand as the judge sentenced Liam to long-term psychiatric care with strict no-contact orders. Riley, Ethan said later, you're safe now. We'll build a life where his shadow doesn't follow you. I nodded. But deep inside, I knew I'd never fully be free. Not until I forgave myself for letting him in my life for so long. After Liam's arrest, silence settled over my life like a heavy, suffocating fog. The nightmare that had followed me for years was finally confined behind locked doors. But the scars? They weren't so easy to erase. I thought I could run from my past by moving cities, changing my name, marrying Ethan, but the truth hit me harder than any stranger ever could. My family was still part of that past. One rainy afternoon, I found myself sitting across from my mother in a sterile cafe near my apartment. Why didn't you protect me? I asked, voice trembling but fierce. Her eyes darted away, guilt heavy on her face. I didn't know how, she whispered. Your father. He wouldn't listen. He said Liam was our golden boy, perfect in every way. I was scared. I shook my head. You knew. You saw the bruises, the nightmares, but you ignored it. Her tears came then, a flood of regret I'd never expected. I was wrong, and I'm sorry. But the hardest conversation was with my father. He sat stiffly in his old leather chair, the man who'd once told me to toughen up. I always wanted to believe Liam was innocent, he said. I didn't want to admit the truth about my son, or about myself. I leaned forward. What about me? What about the daughter you failed? His eyes filled with something like shame. I'm sorry, Riley. I never meant for any of this to happen. The reckoning wasn't just about apologies. It was about reclaiming my voice. Ethan stood by my side through every step, steady and unwavering. When Liam's parole hearing came, I was there, watching the man who had tried to destroy me reduced to a broken shadow begging for forgiveness. But I wasn't angry anymore. I was free.